Okay, today we are going to be talking about writing linear equations from a table. And we have already talked about how when you're looking for your y-intercept, it's where x is 0 and y is going to be your y-intercept at that point. So today I'm going to take you through the steps, and I want you to use your calculator. So instead of doing it the old-fashioned way, which we're used to doing, I'm going to show you how to use your calculator. When you're using your calculator, there are less mistakes to be made, and it's actually a little bit easier. So the first thing that I want to do when I'm looking at this graph is I want to know where my x is and where my y is. And we're going to use the calculator first, and then I'm going to, after we use the calculator, I'm going to write down the steps for you so that you can go back and you can write down the steps. But we're going to start off with me showing you how to use the calculator and how to enter them into there. Okay, so I'm going to put the calculator here, and I'm going to look first, see if I can move this over a little bit. I'm going to look first at my x and my y. The first thing I have to do is hit this stat button. It's right here below delete. It says stat, and it highlights edit, so I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to enter all of my x's into L1. Remember, it has to say L1 and L2 or this will not work. So if your calculator is not correct, you need to let somebody know. 0, 2, 4, and 6. Then I'm going to move over with my arrow key, and I'm going to enter my y's, which are 325, 425, 525, and 625. Okay, once I have all my numbers entered, I'm going to hit stat. I'm going to move over to calc. And if you look down at number 4, it looks like at the end you see an ax plus b. That kind of looks like our mx plus b, which is great because that is actually what it is. The a is actually the m. So we're going to hit enter. And then we're going to go all the way down here, and we're going to highlight calculate and hit enter. When we do that, it gives me some numbers. If you look here, it shows me that a is 50 and b is 325. That is my m and my b. So I can write an equation using those steps, and I can come down here. Let's move my paper a little bit. And I can say y, they already have your y equals for you right here. Y equals, and that is 50x, move that calculator a little bit, plus 325. So we're using what is in the calculator. Y equals 50x plus 325. We got it from A and from B. Our A is our M. Okay, let's try a couple of more, then we're going to write down the notes. If I'm looking here, I need to make sure that this is my X and this is my Y, because X and Y have to go into L1 and L2. Okay, I'm going to hit stat and edit. As you can see, I have numbers there, so I'm just going to hit this delete button, and I'm going to delete out all the numbers. Okay, then I can start from the beginning. I have 0, 10, 20, and 30. Okay, then I'm going to move over. And now look, these have decimals, 40.00. If you notice when I put it in, it just changes it to 40. 42.00. Let's clear that out because I obviously made a mistake. Okay, there it put it in, 42. Okay, 44. See, sometimes I make mistakes too, so I have to start over. 0.00, enter, and 46.00, enter. Okay, now that I have them all in, hopefully correctly because I can't see it, I'm going to hit stat. I'm going to go over to calculate. I'm going to go down to 4. I'm going to hit enter. Go down to calculate, hit enter. And it gives me 0.2 and 40. Okay? So 0.2, when it comes over here and it asks me my slope is actually 0.2. And my y-intercept is 40. Now, here's the thing. Most people like to have the equation written as a fraction, and we can do that because if we clear this out, we can take 0.2 and we can enter it into the calculator, and then we can hit math, which is right here under the green button. it highlights fraction, and we hit enter, and it gives a decimal or a fraction of 1/5. So now I can write it as y equals 1/5 plus 40. Okay? Will I count off if you write 0.2? No, only if it tells you to turn it into a fraction. If it tells you to turn it into a fraction, that's one thing, but if it doesn't, don't worry about it. Okay, the last one we're going to look at, x is on top, y is on bottom, which is important when we're putting it into the calculator. Okay, I'm going to hit Stat and Edit, and I'm going to clear these numbers out with the delete button. Okay, then I'm going to put in 0, 1, 5, and 10. So I'm going to put in 0, 1, 5, 10. Then I'm going to move over and I'm going to put in 2.50, 5.00, 15.00, and 27.50. Now that I have all those in the calculator, I'm going to hit Stat. I am going to go over to Calc, down to 4. I'm going to hit Enter, go down to Calculate, and hit Enter. That gives me what I need. It's 2.5 and 2.5, so it's the same. Our slope and our y-intercept are both 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to have a y equals. Now I'm going to show you how to turn the 2.5. It's the same way. We're going to put in 2.5. We're going to hit Math, Enter, Enter, and it gives me a fraction of 5/2. Sorry, I had to look at it. It gives me a fraction of 5/2, and I'm going to write it just like that. 5/2x plus 2.5. Because if I'm going and I have to graph this, then my 5/2 gives me my rise over run. I'm going to rise 5 and run 2. Now let's take this and we're going to write down the steps to putting it into the calculator really quick. Okay, so number 1, we're going to hit Stat. Number 2, we're going to hit Edit. Number 3 has 2 steps. In L1, we're going to put our x's in. It always has to be our x's in L1. In L2, we will always put our y's in. Then step 4, we're going to hit Stat again. After we hit Stat, we are going to move over to Calc. Then we are going to move down to number 4, which is linear regression. And then our last step is to move down to Calculate. Now, I did not put all of the enters in there, but you know where you need to enter, so where you hit the enter button. If you have any questions about this, come see me and we'll work on some of these together. Thank you.